Ramesh here, and I have my colleague Chidambaram with me. And let me give a small introduction about ourselves and the team that we are working, and then I will request you to introduce yourselves. Okay. So basically, we are from Barclays Finance RAS team, finance area. Like when we call RAS, we call it as like expandably rapid agile services team, and we provide end-to-end data solutions using Tableau, Alteryx, and multiple tools across in the industry, and provide reporting and insight solutions to the different areas in finance. Like when I say different areas, it is like uh, BI, BUK, BX, like the different segments that we have inside banking. Okay, so predominantly we use Tableau tool, and currently we're looking for a Tableau resource who's well versed in Tableau basics to till advanced level, and that's what our expectation as well. And yeah, can go ahead with your introduction. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ramesh. So I'll start with my introduction. My name is Akshay. I have completed my bachelor's in electronics and telecommunications engineering in 2015, and it's been 8 years. So initial 1.5 year, I was into the telecom and the networking domain, where I used to directly interact with the end customer to understand their network related issues and troubleshoot the switches, routers. And on the top of it, I used to prepare one ad hoc report based on my overall analysis and all. So during that work, I found myself like I'm more interested into the developing the reports and playing around with the data. So I started learning the SQL, Tableau, and Excel, like which is more focused on developing the reports. So when I got chance to work in the Tata Communication, so I had initiated one project where I was tracking the overall team audit and team performance, plus the different network devices in the network, like how they are performing based on the different time frames, and how the based on the traffic what they are getting. So that was in a Tableau. Like I used the service now as my backend data, where I got the data from the service now tool, which is integrated to the network, to the existing network. So based on the overall logs and all, I had prepared the device performance matrix, where the my VP and the upper level managers can see which devices are working uh, fine, and how frequently we are getting common issues and how we are tackling it, and in nutshell, like how time we are utilizing to fix those kind of issues. So those metrics help to improve the team performance, and for suggestion of any higher version of devices in the network. So yeah, that was the small initiative I have done. Coming to the my next work is like into Zensar technology. I had worked as a data analyst for the client Cisco. So it was into the sales and finance domain, where the sales team used to interact with their end customer to get their existing subscription to be extended, and to do that particular thing, if they have any issues on the customer inventory, like order related issues or any historical purchase or any credit adjustment. So they used to come to us with the similar kind of requirements, and based on the requirement, I used to write a SQL into the backend data. Like we had a Oracle data, and based on the existing data, I prepared the ad hoc report for the customer and share with the finance team for approval, if in case they want any credit to be approved. And once the deal is approved, I used to prepare the inventory management report for a specific customer, where the customer can see the overall purchase, like overall historical purchase into their account across the globe, like what are the different headquarters they do have, and in different headquarters how many devices are purchased, how many licenses are deployed, are still pending in warehouse. And in addition to that, they used to see some financial KPIs also, like how much dollar is, like how much orders are booked, how much dollars are spent on those particular orders, and how much credit they do have into their account. So based on that statistic, the sales team used to extend their existing subscription, and those dashboards really help them to close the order before the deadline. So technology wise, I got good exposure on the SQL and the Tableau into that particular project. And coming to my current project, like I am working for the Mastercard over here, and my current work is like it is a mixture of the front end and the back end. Like I'm also developing the pipelines in the back end and also developing the front end Tableau dashboards. So if anything goes wrong, so I am only one POC who is connecting the dots and fixing the issues. So here I am managing over 300 different dashboards on admin level and giving the users access to the different users belongs to different teams, and optimizing some existing Tableau dashboards and helping client to develop the some dashboards absolute from the scratch. Like few dashboard I have created from Apache NiFi pipeline. Like I bought the data from the Kafka consumer, then I transformed that to the NiFi pipeline, and I pushed that particular data to the SQL environment, and further I developed the front-end Tableau dashboard for the same. So similar way I had developed the dashboards through Alteryx also. Like I got the data from Hyperion, then I transformed that particular data into the Alteryx workflow and made a data set ready, which is ready for the developing the front-end Tableau dashboard, and then I developed the front-end Tableau dashboard for the same and created the Tableau server extract, Tableau extract basically on the Tableau server side, and also maintain the all the automated refresh which is happening on regular basis. And if anything goes wrong, I do it manually, and if there is any issue with the data source, then I work with the DBA team to make sure the backend SQL is or backend tables are updated properly and there is no any maintenance activity coming in between while Tableau extract is in progress. So yeah, that kind of work I have done in nutshell.
Okay. So explain me about a challenging tasks that you faced in a Tableau dashboard development, and what are all the steps that you have done to sort that challenge out?
Yeah, so like developing the Tableau dashboard is always comes with the challenges. Like the very first challenge is like identifying the relative fields that are going to use to develop the Tableau dashboard. Sometimes stakeholder confirms few fields from the table and we go with the SQL and implement that particular view in backend. But while the dashboard is in development phase, the sometimes stakeholders comes back and ask to include few more fields or update few more logics into the backend SQL. So I again go back to the backend SQL script, made relevant changes, validate them. It is a time consuming, but yeah, at the end it takes a good amount of time to again resume the work at the development site and do the further development. So that was something happened due to the irregular updates. The next is like while developing any Tableau dashboard, I always make sure like I use a simplified calculation instead of moving directly or jumping on directly on complex calculations. So if there is a need, I do include the complex calculations like controlling the parameters and LOD fields, and making sure the whatever calculations is made created by using the LOD is throwing the correct numbers so that the stakeholder will not get confused at the end. So that thing I think that is a not in terms of challenge, yeah, but it is a time consuming and where I do wait for the stakeholders confirmation based on my calculation. I do develop the Tableau calculation first on the small data set and I confirm that with the stakeholder whether this particular data this is my calculation and this is what we are getting. So if this number is matching with your offline system or your ad hoc report, then we can consider this particular calculation to integrate into the actual dashboard. And yeah, there is always some challenges I do face based on the infrastructure level. Like many times we use the data from the multiple sources, and if I have the LOD calculation which needs a field from different data source, it's always it gives some restrictions because LOD does not really support the field from two different data sources. So I always try to make sure like what your field I am using, it's supposed to belong to single data source or single table if this kind of limitations comes into picture, so that in future my dashboard will not lag or it will not throw any incorrect calculations. Yeah.
What are all the data sources that you have used?
Data source like if I say on-prem, I do have Oracle DB and SSMS. and for
Mm.
cloud I do have the GCP.
Okay. Okay. So when it comes to so assume like a scenario wherein where we I have two different data sources. Okay,
Mhm,
one is from a server, either it's a SQL or an Oracle one, and I have another manual file with me.
mhm.
So what all the steps you'll take to use those two data sources and build a dashboard,
Yeah,
get the data into the data dashboard and build a dashboard.
so I'll first check, I'll consider like my local file is in CSV format. Like I'll check the
Mm.
data format and data structure is aligning with my on-prem data source. Like I
Mm.
do have the same data type and data structure, and I'll look for the common fields among them. Whether
Mm.
if I want to build any relationship, I will definitely check for the cardinality between the primary key if it is one to one, so that will give me more correct result. And second one is like, although I do have the two different data source, so I will have to go with the data blending. So there is one issue with the data blending. It gives it first run the aggregation, then perform the joins. So I will make
Mm.
sure whatever calculations I am building, it will not give me the incorrect results due to this order of operation. I will make sure my calculations are giving me correct result based on this joining.
Okay. Okay. Assume that another the data source has a 10K of data for a sample, for example. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and every month I'm going to append that with an additional 10K of data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to that, and I'm going to use that as a input to my dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
So what should I do to do this appending in Tableau?
So we can go with the incremental refresh. Like I'll first we will have to identify which column or which field we are considering uh to fix, to assume that okay, this data is up to date. For example, we consider date field to confirm
Mm-hmm.
the latest record into the data. So based on that we will configure the incremental refresh in the Tableau server, and whenever you refresh the data from backend, it will give me the updated data. Like based on the old record, it will only add the new record on the top of it and will give me the entire fresh data at the front side.
What are all the calculations is available in Tableau?
So there are many calculations. Like in a calculated field we can utilize many custom calculations. That is another part. We have the quick table calculations, then we do have some uh, quick calculations also, like running difference, total running, many
Mm.
inbuilt calculation we do have in Tableau.
Okay. Okay. Assume another scenario wherein I have around 20 drop downs in a dashboard. Like I have multiple drop downs altogether. So that kind of requirement that user gave me, and and they use all these drop downs to filter out data in the charts and the table that we have built in the dashboard. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and they request us to have a one button to refresh all these to return it to the common value or the all value in that all the drop downs together. How will you do that? Refresh all the filters together. How will you achieve that?
Okay, refreshing all the filters at the same time. Like there is a functionality, but I have not tried that one. But I will check
Mm.
like how to do it. Like to in that scenario, what one scenario I had handled where client wanted to only keep, like if he is applying any particular filter on any particular
Mm.
drop down, then whatever further filters he will apply, he's supposed to see the relevant values out of that filter. So I had used the relative filters over there, where he can only see the the filters. How can I explain? Okay, let's take an example. If I apply filter on any state, then if I do have next filter as a city, so that particular filter will only show me the city listed into the state filter that I had applied earlier. So that kind of
Yeah,
scenario I handled. But to
that's a different
refresh,
case.
yeah.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, that's a different case. Yeah.
I there is way, but I will have to look for exact solution for this. I did
Okay.
not apply that on any particular project, but yeah, I'll look for
Mhm.
it. There is a
Okay.
way to do it.
Okay. And you have come across any performance improvement kind
Yeah.
of scenarios in your thing? So what is the issue that you faced and how did you solve it?
Yeah, so for one of the dashboard, like customer had a complex level of detail calculation where he had 17 different fields used into the LOD calculation, and he was calculating the ratio out of it actually. So initially when the
Mm.
dashboard was created, the data size was around 3 GB, like the extract was of 3 GB, but with the time it get extended till 25 GB. But you know, due to the huge data volume, the underlying LOD calculation started getting crashed. So he came to me like to find out the alternate solution to fix this performance issue. So I had run the performance optimizer, and I just gone through entire filters and different calculation, just toggled around the dashboard basically. And after that I looked for the report, like performance optimizer report, like how it is showing me like what how much time it is taking to run the underlying queries, load the data and load the worksheets. So based on that I found like it is taking a more time to run the query because the data volume was very high. So what I did, I first run the same dashboard on the same subset of data, like around 1 or 2 GB, like for last 6 months of data I tried. So it worked well. So I suggested client, like if we are not using all the field, we can cut down the few fields and reduce the data volume, so that way it can be improved. So that was the first solution that I had gave. But client says like if we are cutting down few fields, we will lose the granularity of the data, and at the end we will get incomplete or inaccurate figures. So that didn't work. Then the next part what I did, I tried to minimize the calculations, like the LOD calculation with the 17 different fields was actually creating the issue. So I cut down 4 fields out of it. Then with the 14 different field it worked well. But yeah, it was showing the correct numbers at the front end, but client said we need to have all fields into the calculation, we cannot lose those particular fields from LOD. So that I again kept that solution aside, and then I suggested a final solution to partition the data at the data source level. So that way, like eventually we had 4 to 5 years of data. So I cut down into 2 years and 3 years of data. So I created a year calculated field at the data source level and created one parameter to toggle between the previous year, like previous 3 year and current 2 year. So client can see the dashboard for current 2 year on the selection of parameter, and if you want to see some historical number, then he can toggle back using the parameter and see the last 3 years of data. So that way that problem got solved and he was able to see. So at the end, like in terms of optimization, I had followed the steps, like I will first look for the volume of data. If it is so high, I'll check probability to cut down this, like cut down the unused data. Second, if the query is taking more than usual time, then I will try to split the query into two part, or if we have multiple query, we will combine the query and keep the as minimum as calculated fields. Then I will look for the worksheets created in the dashboard. If there are worksheets which are not used or not utilized to create dashboard, I will cut them down to get low burden in Tableau. And yeah, at the end I will look for the dashboard charts, like how many charts we are using. If we are using more than 5 or 6 chart, then I will try to split dashboard into two part, where the client can see a simple and clear dashboard with the low at least 2 or 3 charts, where they can see at least see or they can at least visualize the things which are present in the dashboard. And I can facilitate them to toggle to another dashboard on the by creating the button if they want to switch between the different dashboards. Yeah.
You mentioned in your resume that you have Alteryx experience as well. Is it so? Like, how would you rate yourself in Alteryx?
In the Alteryx, I I would rate like 3 to 3.5 out of 5 because I had worked on only 2 projects in Alteryx where the client wanted to
Okay.
develop a workflow and create the Tableau extract in the Tableau server side.
Okay. Okay. I'll give it to Chidambaram. Yeah, Chidambaram.
Thanks, Ramesh. Actually, what's the complex scenario that you have handled in Alteryx?
The Alteryx, I didn't get a very high level of exposure, but what I did in Alteryx is I extracted the data from Hyperion. Like I identified what are the fields I want, so I only chose those fields using the select tool. Then I had used the group by and joining and created a dummy report like to look for the report. There are different tools available in Alteryx, so I just utilized them and applied the filters because the stakeholder wanted to restrict the data. Like he just wanted a relevant data to be present in Tableau side, so I only filter the relevant data and created the extract at Tableau public site. So I do have the beginner and intermediate level of understanding in Alteryx, I can say.
Okay. So what's the tool you use to get the data from Hyperion?
We had used the connector. Like there is no direct connector available in Alteryx. Our dev team had developed some Exo Insight connector, and through that connector we used to do connect with the Hyperion server.
Okay. Okay. So coming back to Tableau, consider you have a dashboard that is being built on Excel as the source, and now you want to migrate the data from Excel source to, let's say, AWS data server or something. How would you go about it?
So before directly performing the migration, I would make sure like what data present available on cloud side, like on AWS, if all the fields, nomenclature and the data types are matching with my Excel format or not. I will first make sure that. Then if that is matching, then first I will create the extract on Tableau server side from the AWS to or any cloud platform to the Tableau server, and make sure my data source is ready at the Tableau server side. Then I will publish my local dashboard to the Tableau server, and then I will interchange the data source from Excel to the target data source. So maybe after that process I will get some error due to the incorrect mapping in the dimensions and measure. So I will map them accurately with the target data source and we'll look for the figures, which if it is returning the same figures or not, or all the calculations are working perfectly or not. So that basic checks I will follow first.
Okay. So would it suffice? I mean, would that be sufficient to take care of everything? Let's assume what could happen to the calculated fields that were there in Excel and not here in the server now. What would happen to them?
So it will throw error. This could be because of incorrect mapping, or there are some change in the name in that is possible. So I will remap them, or if it is not working I will recreate the calculated fields and use that to the dashboard, and will remove the old calculated field. So that way I will fix.
Okay.
And there is one more way, like while creating the extract, I will create the calculated field into the my TWV file, and then I will publish that. So that way it will automatically create all the relevant calculated field in the extract itself. So whenever I change the whenever I connect any report to that particular extract, it will give me all the calculated field in ready state so that I can use in the dashboard.
Okay. So what are the complex charts that you have created in Tableau?
So one of the complex chart I had created in Tableau was sunburst chart. It was a hierarchical distribution because the client wanted to see like how much devices we had purchased, what kind of devices across all the headquarters and all the sub affiliates they had multiple affiliates under it. So that was one of the complex chart I had created. Although I did not hard coded it, I referred a protocol and just followed the. But eventually, it thrown huge performance issues. So at the end, it went on live with reference to only metadata. I had recommended to use only metadata, not to use entire data, because considering the complexity on multiple layers, it took huge time to load. So that was one of complicated chart that I had created. And rest, like when I was in the initial phase, I had developed the waterfall chart, donut chart. So in terms of populating the accurate figure, I found it complicated, but yeah, with time it is easy now.
Okay, so you mentioned waterfall chart. How did you manage to create a waterfall chart, and why? What is it used for?
Basically, it is used to just look for overall distribution of any metric across different categorical values, and if you want to see the total and how the total is splitted into different categories of the particular dimension, so we can look for waterfall chart. So based on the volume distributed or volume associated with each category, it will adjust the bar size and give us the proper ascending order, like how it is distributed across different things. And at the end we can see the totals also. So that gives many information. That can be actually replaced with the donut chart, pie chart, or any other chart, but the waterfall chart specifically gives more information. Like we can also include the totals, percentage, and many other small details in the waterfall, which can be very helpful for end customer to understand what exactly he is looking for.
Can you explain the steps involved in creating a waterfall chart?
I'll recall it. Like we do use the one dimension measure, then we create the bar chart first, then what matrix we want to use, we will drag that to the size and convert the mark type to the Gantt chart, and then drag the metric to the size. So based on the size, the Gantt chart will auto adjusted as per the volume associated with each categorical value. Then in using analytics, we can show the totals at the end of the bar, at the end of the chart, where we can see total, and after total we can see all the Gantt charts with the different volume. It will show all the details like that. So that way we create.
Okay. Okay. No further question from my side. Ramesh, do you have anything?
Yeah, that's it from me.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Actually, like we'll give you the feedback to the proper channel.